And we're live, and it is my pleasure to wish you a very happy Halloween. How was it for you? Were you scared? Did you scare other people? And is it more important to scare or be scared? We all like receiving presents on Christmas Day, but do we like to be scared on Halloween or All Hallows Eve, as it's known in the Christian calendar, or Samhain, as it's really known in the original Celtic language? There has been a festival around this point in time of the year on these islands for thousands of years. PSV Eindhoven is here. Welcome. Good evening. I hope you had a good Halloween. And how do they celebrate Halloween in the Netherlands? Is it the same as here? Is it going all American, as are all celebrations? And if anyone wants to talk to me about Halloween, get the debate going, the number is in the title. Give me a call. If not, I'll just give you my take on it as something of a tradition and a celebration that is native to these islands. It's part of the native culture of the British Isles, which is in origin a Celtic culture. And the Celtic nations, as we have them now, are Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Cornwall. They're in the far corners of the British Isles, and the Anglo-Saxons, who became the English and gave their name to the land of England, are, although they've been here quite a few centuries, an invasive species, and it is the Celts who are the native inhabitants, and this celebration, which was known as Samhain, was originally their festive time during the month of October, towards the end of the year. And Samhain, I think, literally means summer ending. It's the end of summer. And if you look at the calendar, it's exactly or roughly halfway between the longest day of the year and the shortest day of the year. This is when we go into what they call the equinox, when the days go from getting longer to shorter. So there has always been a celebration commemorating the end of summertime. And in other parts of the world, I know in Mexico they have the Day of the Dead. Halloween, as it became known, this is a Christianization of what was originally a pagan Celtic celebration. And the word pagan is thrown around as an insult, but this just refers to the indigenous beliefs of people in the British Isles who worship nature. And why not? Why would you not be at one with nature? A PSV Eindhoven saying Halloween reached the Netherlands, all right, since a couple of years now. The corporation's getting a lot of money out of it. Yes, I know. The version of Halloween we have now is not what it would have been thousands of years ago. It won't even be what the older generation remember from their youth. And like everything, it becomes Americanized, and the world's only superpower has the ability to impose its culture on the rest of the world. That is why corporations are cashing in on it. That's why kids will be going door to door practicing trick or treating, which I think is a tradition that's come from America. But originally, This was a celebration commemorating the end of summertime. And like many of the indigenous pagan festivals of the British Isles and Northern Europe, it has been Christianized and hijacked by the church. When the Roman Empire became the Holy Roman Empire and Emperor Constantine adopted Christianity and Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, all the festivals that were already being celebrated had to be given a Christian identity. So the winter festival of Yule, end of the year, 25th of December, became the time when the church celebrated the birth of Jesus. Was Jesus born on the 25th of December? There is no evidence to suggest he was, but that had to become a Christian festival. And we go to a call. Let's see who's there. Hello, caller, welcome.
This is the Turk.
That's the Turk again, 2 in a row. Superb. Happy Halloween.
I will. Happy Halloween to you too. I will call in every time I can because I support Lessons for Life 24/7.
We appreciate it.
The best YouTube channel on YouTube.
Superb. Very kind. Very kind. What does Halloween mean to you, Turk?
Well, Halloween is having a good time with the family. You know, it's all about good family values. None of that degenerate leftist ideas. Having a good time, getting some candy, chatting to new people, dressing up dressing up as whatever you want to be.
And do you think commercialism is getting in the way of these good old family values that I know you like to bang on about? Is it becoming about making money and selling things?
Oh, definitely, because the candy corporations, they make all the candy to have power over the people, to become addicted to sugar, and also the leftists talk bad to the people because they can't wear special cultures. Like, if I want to dress up as a Christian and wear a Pope hat, I should be able to. Okay,
so cultural appropriation is a problem.
Yeah.
Do you think that...
That's also a problem.
Is it right that I should be able to go to a Halloween party dressed as a Native American if that's not my culture?
Yes, you should be allowed to dress whatever you want.
But what if that's insensitive? Where do you draw the line, Turk?
No line. There's no line. You can dress whatever you want.
Can I go to... someone in the comments is saying then dress as Hitler. Would it be appropriate to attend a party?
Yeah. If there's no laws against it, then yeah.
What about...
Feel free.
Okay.
Just if you get beat up, then that's your problem.
Okay. And should men be allowed to dress as women?
Only on Halloween.
Only on Halloween. What about the rest of the... What?
On Halloween, and they have to be saying that they're dressed up as a woman and they're a man, so little children don't get confused.
Okay, and which bathroom should they go to when they're dressed as a woman?
They should go out back in the hut. They're not allowed in buildings.
Okay. Well, Turk, you've shown your true colours as ever, and we appreciate you sharing it on Lessons for Life. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good old friend of the show, the Turk, who loves his alt-right politics. PSV Eindhoven is saying, imagine walking around as Hitler. Haha, that would be mad. Bro, yes, it was. Crazy's on early. Yeah, well, look, it's the final hour of Halloween. So if you can't go crazy or be crazy, I don't mind who phones me up. This is freedom of speech. Whatever you want to say, if you want to say it to the audience, feel free. I'm not going to give anyone's identity away. You can withhold your number if you really must. And if you're calling from overseas, remember it's +44. Yeah, the question of cultural appropriation does come up every year at Halloween because some people find it funny to dress up as another culture. I don't know where you draw the line. I think things like the black and white minstrel show were from a bygone era. I don't think that's appropriate now. I don't think that white people should be dressing up as black people as an act in and of itself. But if you want to dress up as a inhabitant of the Amazon rainforest, then presumably you'll have to dress accordingly. I don't know where we draw the line there, but you can't say anything these days. It's political correctness gone mad. But yeah, that's just another different direction that Halloween has gone in. I don't think we ever had. We've got so many problems and issues that we debate these days that were never an issue before, because I think our lives are much more comfortable now. And 33X is saying there is no line. Perhaps that, I don't know if that means you should never dress up as another culture, or he means that you should always. I'm not sure. If there's no line, does that mean then just anything goes? I mean, I don't think we should dress up as another culture to mock that culture. But yeah, I think 50, 60 years ago, when people were struggling for their equality just to be regarded as a human being, it was a different era. And Simpsons is saying, why are you not dressed as a pumpkin? Because that would be cultural appropriation, or would it be vegetable appropriation? PSV Eindhoven is saying Black Pete is a big issue these days in Holland. I don't know who Black Pete is, but by the sound of his name, he's a black man, or perhaps it's some sort of black character that people have. The Father Christmas character in Iran is portrayed as a black man. Baba Nowruz, I think he's called. And the Iranians, during the Iranian New Year celebration, Nowruz, in March time, in the beginning of spring, occasionally will darken their faces to portray themselves as this Baba Nowruz character. But it seems to be white people and white culture that has, and there's a term for it, white guilt, because the history of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade has left it a very sensitive issue for a white person to portray or mock a black person, and that's understandable. And in other cultures that weren't so directly involved in slavery, perhaps they can darken their faces guilt-free. I don't know, but there must have been slaves in Iran. Perhaps someone who knows the Iranian history better can tell me, but certainly blacking your face up. I mean, not saying it's a common thing, but I've seen it done. I know that it goes on. And closer to home, the Morris dancers, the great, another native British original tradition, they had a tradition of blacking their faces up. And there's much debate goes on about whether or not it's appropriate, whether the origins lie before slavery and it's nothing to do with insulting black people. But I think in 21st century Britain, you will make a lot of people feel uneasy if you if you black your face up. And PSV Eindhoven is saying it's a crazy holiday in Holland. It's called Sinterklaas and brings gifts to children. Sinterklaas, I'm guessing, is the equivalent of Santa Claus, which is Saint Nicholas, whether you believe in him or not. But Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, all these Christian celebrations are pagan festivals that have been reclaimed by the Christian church, and in particular the Catholic Church. And Saint Valentine is portrayed as this martyr who was willing to die for the one he loved. But really, the 14th of February, don't forget the date, put it in the diary, that is the beginning of springtime. And all these celebrations have a appointed time in the solar calendar. They're to do with the seasons. So when it's springtime and new chicks and animals are being born and nature is blossoming and blooming, this is the time of rebirth. This is the time when we are thinking about procreation. This is the time, so-called the mating season, when new life is being brought into the world. In the northern hemisphere, by the way. Obviously, in the southern hemisphere, the seasons are opposite, and they have Christmas in summer. But in the northern hemisphere, St. Valentine's Day falls in the start of spring, and that is why it is associated with love and hearts and romantic love and eros and Cupid. And it's nothing to do with what the church would like you to believe it is. Similarly, with Easter, Easter is coincided with the celebration of Esther, the female goddess of fertility. Where do you think we get the word estrogen from? This is the female hormone. This all relates to fertility and eggs being laid and chicks being born. Nothing to do with Jesus coming back to life. We don't know when Jesus was born. We don't know when Jesus died. And we don't know why we have Easter eggs, coincidentally, on the day that Jesus supposedly came back to life. And the best explanation I've ever heard from anyone for why they have eggs is because the huge rock that was used to keep Christ's tomb locked looked a bit egg-shaped. You couldn't make it up. And 33X is saying he was born 2019 years ago. Well, was he? I think even that calculation has been done and redone several times. No one knows the exact time and dates of these events. But what's more important is the meaning. What's more important about Jesus than the time and the place that he was born is the message that he brought. And the message that he brought was love one another, forgive your enemy, love thy enemy, turn the other cheek. If someone strikes you on the left cheek, offer him your right cheek. This is the revolutionary idea brought by Jesus, and maybe that's what got him killed. And PSV Eindhoven is saying Santa Claus was created by Coca-Cola, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Santa Claus sounds like Satan. Well, Santa Claus comes from Saint Nicholas or Sinterklaas, the one that you're mentioning earlier. But the link with Coca-Cola is the reason that Santa Claus is red. Prior to that, Santa Claus was portrayed as wearing green. So Coca-Cola, yet again, take the blame or the credit for changing our Christmas. 33X is saying, forgive your enemies. That will get us all killed like Jesus in it. Well, it might get a few of us killed. Maybe it got Jesus killed, but it might let many more live. And maybe rather than the man, maybe it's the teaching that cannot die. Maybe it's the love that cannot die. You can shoot, coward. You're only going to kill a man. Prizes for telling me who famously said that. So let's have a look at some of the other celebrations and the other hijackings of pagan beliefs that found their way into the church and the Catholic Church. Here's a comment from The Truth, aka Overkill. Hello, Julia, mate. I've been watching your blogs today. How did you learn Arabic so well, and how much was the camera that you left on that car in Oman? Well, look, I speak Arabic very badly, and 33X, who's in the chat, has sat in a Arabic class with me. Over the years, I've tried to pick bits up here and there from friends, and I've spent time in the Middle East, and I've had a few lessons, but I'm very much needing to perfect it. And the camera that I left, this is very particular, but I did in another visit, in a video, I left a camera on a time-lapse in Oman, and it went missing. The camera was a second-hand camera. It was about 20 quid. Nothing to worry about, but I appreciate you watching the other content that we upload here on Lessons for Life. Fair enough. Thank you very, very much, The Truth, aka Overkill. Yeah, we're all searching for the truth, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of the truth behind Halloween, or Samhain, this Celtic cultural celebration that was adopted by the church. Hey, it's not the only one. I feel entitled to criticize Christianity, having come from a Christian background, but I'm sure many cultures have done the same thing. And even the Muslims who visit the Kaaba and Mecca for the Hajj know that there were pagan practices going on in that place before Islam was revealed. Or if you want to go deeper into the story, the Muslims will tell you originally this place was devoted to monotheism, and then it fell back into paganism and polytheism until finally people came back to the belief in one God. Beliefs have always changed, and as I said before, paganism is thrown around as an insult. I think the simple native peoples of the earth who do worship nature, who do follow the sun and the moon, whether you're worshipping the sun or you're just using it as a guide for your calendar, what's the difference? The bottom line is that we're meant to be in touch with nature, and you could call God nature. Some people call God Father. Some people refer to God as Mother Nature. Some people say that God has no gender, or sorry, he, she, z. I don't know how to refer to the Creator, but you get my point. The unknowable is, by the very definition, unknowable, and all these labels that we try to put onto the Creator are going to fall short anyway. So other aspects of pagan beliefs, and talking of Mother Nature, I think the emphasis on the Virgin Mary within the Catholic Church is a longing to fill this gap in our spiritual connection with a female entity, or with a female side of creation. If you're told all your life, God is the Father, God is the Father, God is the Son, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, all the priests are men, all the bishops are men, Europe and the Holy Roman Empire became a very male-dominated, especially in terms of religious hierarchy, dominated or male-dominant society. There is a longing for that connection with a female goddess or a female entity. And this is why the people elevated the Virgin Mary to near godlike status. And when the Protestant Reformation happened, they shied away from this veneration of Mary, and there's always going to be a backlash. Things come in pendulum sways, and they go one way and they go another. And PSV Eindhoven is asking, did Jesus really get born on the 25th of December? Because 25th of December is a special day in paganism, right? Yes, it is. Look, all these. No, you're absolutely correct, PSV Eindhoven. And this is what I'm saying. All these festivals were there already, and the Virgin Mary being venerated to the level at which she is was there anyway in the form of Mother Nature. And when the Catholic Church brought its teachings to Mexico, and there was an apparition of the Virgin Mary in a town called Guadalupe, and there's a special painting commemorating the time when this young woman miraculously appeared to a local Mexican native inhabitant who would have been following the native so-called pagan beliefs and believing in goddesses, and this woman appeared to him and he converted to the new Catholic religion and brought many Mexican native converts with him, and they just replaced their original native goddesses with the Virgin Mary. And the pictures of the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus are exactly like the pictures of the ancient gods. We mentioned Horus in the chat already, other goddesses from ancient Egypt and Babylon. People have been telling this story of a God-man born of a virgin for thousands of years. And the Christ story is just the latest one. Now, that doesn't prove it true or false one way or the other. It just makes you a little bit skeptical. But maybe there is a deeper meaning to all of this. And PSV Eindhoven is saying exactly the painting of Horus as a baby. Yeah, if you look at these pictures, you'd be convinced you're looking at a picture of the Virgin Mary, but it's actually something from thousands of years before. Like I say, it doesn't mean it's true or false. But let's get back to Halloween and talk about some of the traditions that have crept into our celebration, and this idea of trick or treat, going and knocking on doors and getting sweets. This has come, I think, from America. And I remember years ago when I was training to be an RE teacher in London, following the UK curriculum, and in a school where I was doing a placement around this time, it was Halloween, we had some Christians visit the school. They came in with a Bible, and they might have given out a few Bibles and given it the usual rhetoric, but they came out really strongly against Halloween, and they were warning the children not to get involved in trick-or-treating and running up and down the street harassing people, not for any sort of moral reason, or the fact that you might end up doing criminal damage or something, but they really saw Halloween as some kind of evil celebration and tapping into evil. But this has been around longer than Christianity, and we call it Halloween now because November the 1st is All Saints' Day. So St. George has a day, St. Patrick has a day, 17th of March. St. David, there's a day for every saint, but the 1st of November, the day before Halloween, is All Saints' Day. So the day before Halloween, or the night before Halloween, the night before this day devoted to all the hallowed souls, is known as All Hallows Eve or Halloween. And if anything bad is going to happen, it will be, or anything evil, it will be on the night before All Hallows Day. So there's the Christian version of Halloween, or Samhain, being given a Christian narrative. Peace behind heaven saying, what do you know about St. Martin? I don't know anything about St. Martin. You'll have to forgive me on that one. If you want to know about St. Patrick, I'm your man. I could even have a go at St. George. And peace behind heaven saying, it's a holiday. What day is St. Martin's Day? If you tell me what day it is, I might have a clue. But yeah, these Christians that came to school in East London, where I was training to be an RE teacher, were really down on Halloween. They were really warning the children against it as some kind of evil practice. And we talk about occultism, and people are very afraid of the occult and would be warned against it. But occult just means hidden, and dabbling in this hidden knowledge is sort of seen by some Christians as satanic. They're a bit like that, and even doing such activity as things like a Ouija board, or as a young person I was working with once referred to it as a Luigi board. Thought that's a brilliant name for it. I'm sure Mario would often get out the Luigi board and try and contact the dead. And of course, Ouija board comes from two different languages. French, oui, as in oui, oui, en français. Oui, meaning yes in French, and ja, oui, ja, J-A, ja, meaning meaning yes in German. And Darren Musso is admitting that he used to call it that too when he was a kid. Yeah, the Luigi board. It's funny what you think, what you hear when you're young, and you presume you're right. But yes, it comes from the French and the German, oui and ja, meaning yes and yes. So this idea of getting a yes or a no. I'd love to know if anyone's ever done it. I'm certain it is just psychosomatic, and people moving the object themselves and convincing themselves that they're contacting the dead or a ghost or what. I mean, come on, really? But people believe in this stuff. People really do. As scientific as we think we are, and as evolved and as modern as we think we are, people are really worried when it comes to things like that. And I remember Darren Brown, who did a Luigi board live on TV at one point, And in another act that he performed Russian roulette, supposedly live with live rounds with a gun to his head, spin the chamber and take a shot. And he said that the Channel 4, I think it was, received many more complaints for the Ouija board incident than they did for the Russian roulette. So there you go. People don't mind if a guy risks blowing his head off live on TV. But the minute you start moving a bit of rock around on a board with yes and no and numbers and whatnot, people start saying, whoa, whoa, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be dabbling in that. And I think even the most ardent of skeptics, even myself, we all have that element of doubt. Like, is there something in there? Maybe I'll do it live one night. Maybe we'll do a Luigi board live on YouTube, and you can ask me who would I like to contact. Who would you contact if you could contact the dead? I'm wondering who I would contact. Maybe Robert Mugabe. He's only recently passed. Or maybe Nelson Mandela. We can ask him about the Mandela effect. So yeah, we and ja. There's the German and the French for you. And another good German word that creeps into these ghostly tales is poltergeist. That's a German word. Polter, I think, means playful, and Geist means I don't know what it means. Oh, ghost. And Dave Keani is saying Halloween, and he's saying it with 3 exclamation marks, which must mean he's really, really shouting it. Yeah, it is still Halloween, and it's the final hour of Halloween. So if anything scary is bound to happen, it's bound to happen now. We'll do a Ouija board one night, but not tonight because I'm too scared. And if anyone wants to here we go. Jen Wallace is involved. The movie Poltergeist scared me as a child. Remind me what that one's about, Jen Wallace. I haven't seen Poltergeist, but I guess the clue's in the title. It must be about a playful ghost. And another great German word we get from the same meaning is Zeitgeist. The Zeitgeist. Zeit meaning time, Geist still means ghost. And that was a great film online a few years ago that actually talked about a lot of the things we've been talking about tonight. But yeah, the Zeitgeist is the spirit of the time. And PSV Eindhoven is asking me if I believe in demons. I don't know. And these things will all, they will all mean different things to different people. And Jen Wallace is saying, look away from the light, Carol Ann. It was a little girl who had demons in her TV. So yeah, what is a demon? What do we mean by that? And every culture believes in the unseen, as my good friend Barbara Alley used to bang on about, the unseen. And you might laugh at one culture, and for example, Irish people might say there are leprechauns at the bottom of the garden, and this sounds ridiculous, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And you might rubbish that. And then someone from another culture might say, no, they're not leprechauns, they're jinn. As if that would make more sense. It's just a different name. And jinn is a word mentioned in the Quran. We are told that jinn are beings created, made of fire. I mean, what? Smokeless fire? What does that mean? Is this just another way of saying this is something we don't understand? there are beings that we cannot perceive, but everyone takes their own understanding of it and runs with it, and they get the idea of what a jinn is, and then next thing you know, they think they've seen one at the end of the garden. And typically, and this is anecdotal evidence, it seems to be that people happen upon these entities in third world countries, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that would be, but then again, alien abductions tend to happen in along the Bible Belt, the southern part of the United States, which is also where most Elvis sightings occur. So whenever paranormal activity occurs, people will interpret it in their own way. You might see a ghostly figure, and one person will say, "Oh yes, I know what that is, it's a jinn." Someone else will say, "Oh, it was the Virgin Mary." And some of the stories get lapped up straight away. Some of them, there's a lot of skepticism around. The apparition of the Virgin Mary in Fatima in Portugal in 1917 was very quickly, or perhaps not quickly, but eventually accepted by the church after some early skepticism. But when the children who had seen this woman appearing said, "Gather at this time and this place on this day, and you're going to see a miracle," and thousands of people did gather, and there was perceptibly a miracle when the sun appeared to dance around in the sky. How that could be possible, I don't know, but thousands of people witnessed it. This is in Fatima in Portugal, and even neutral parties, even the press, even the government that was anti-religious and communist leaning had to acknowledge something has gone on here, and thousands of people have witnessed it. And I think the sun darted around and it appeared to spin around, and the ground was soaking wet, and then it was dry all of a sudden, and people's clothing was wet and then dry straight away. Something strange happened in Fatima, and because the majority of the population there are Roman Catholics, they just assumed and accepted, okay, this was it's obviously the Virgin Mary, isn't it? What else would it be? If the same thing happened in parts of the other parts of the world, they're going to apply their own culture to that phenomenon. And to answer your question, do I believe in aliens? Do I believe in demons? Maybe they're aliens. Maybe me calling them aliens is my scientific sort of perception. If you want to call them jinn, if you want to call them demons. We also talk about the archons. Every culture has a name for these unknown entities. We go to the phone lines, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you too. It's Mac.
Mac, welcome back. How you doing?
You alright? Yeah. You were just talking about some stuff. What was it you mentioned?
Yeah, well, they asked me, do I believe in demons? And I was just sort of going off on one. Well, what's your take on that?
Interdimensional beings is what I would say.
Here we go. That's a good definition.
Interdimensional beings, and to be honest, like from my opinion, the thing is, if you actually Google or YouTube this, you can see that the stars aren't actually the way that NASA. You know how you see it in textbooks and it looks like a solid form of thing, like round, but it's not. It's made of water, and scientists have actually not only did UV and stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to get to is there's something called the Fermi paradox. Have you heard of it?
The which paradox?
Fermi.
No, I haven't heard of this one.
Okay. Hey Google, what's the Fermi paradox?
The Fermi paradox, yeah?
Wikipedia, the Fermi paradox, named after Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi, is the apparent contradiction between the lack of evidence for extraterrestrial civilizations elsewhere in the Milky Way galaxy and various high estimates for the probability.
Wow. I love the fact we're getting AI on the show. So
basically, yeah. That like I can tell you, because of the Fermi paradox, it's unlikely that there's aliens. However, interdimensional. Now, what it is, my opinion is, like in the Quran or whatever, the jinns. Why didn't the Quran say they live on Mars or a different planet? Why is it here? Like they live amongst us, but we can't see them. Now, my opinion is this Earth is the stage, and everything is because Al-Burhani was the one that did the Iranian-Persian calendar, and his calendar was based on not the heliocentric calendar, but on basically everything revolves around the Earth rather than the Earth revolving around the sun. Okay? And it was Nicolaus Copernicus that in the 15th century introduced the ideology of basically heliocentric solar system. Now, in my opinion, in the late 17th century is when we got air balloons. How is it that we know that way before, in the 15th century, before we even got into air balloons, that the Earth is round, or curvature and all that nonsense that they talk about flat Earth? These are from my opinion and from my understanding, is this is the stage. This is where everything's been played out. Now, whether they're interdimensional beings or whatever you want to call it, I mean, there's 11 dimensions in this world. I mean, even if you look at it from an ant point of view, that's a whole different dimension. Or if you go into, like, again, dimensions has multiple meanings.
Well, look,
like,
hold on. Well, look, 3D, yeah? Slow down, Matt. Slow down. 3D. 3D, I get that. Height, depth, width. Fourth dimension is time. What's the fifth? What's the fifth one?
No, but this is what I'm saying. There are okay. If you close your eyes and you think of your childhood, where is that place that you're seeing it? Because it's not your eyes that you're using to see your childhood. It's basically when you close, as soon as you open, you wake up, you come into this 4D world. But once you close your eyes, you go back. That's why they say meditate or pray. Because you're supposed to detach yourself from this world, this being. Because because you talk within yourself, don't you?
From the five sense reality.
Yeah, in your internal reality. Yeah. So now, once this mouth and this ears and this eyes go into the grave, you continue on from your internal being. You see what I mean?
Yes.
That's the fifth dimension. That's a reality.
Okay. Yes, I get that.
Yeah, so again, but dimensions has multiple meanings. Now, if you go to particles, like quarks and all of that, that's a whole different new dimension that you're looking at, atoms. Do you understand? Yes. So again, that's a different terminology to use. So as I said, when I say 11 dimensions in physics, I mean, they say there's 11 dimensions, but again, you're looking at it if you look at it from an atom's point of view, that's a whole different dimension. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, I get
again, a dimension could also mean multiple universes, going back to the previous conversation we had yesterday.
I remember when you say yes in one reality, it's no in another, and it splits.
Yeah, and then so obviously there's a Fermi paradox that, and there's a SETI that's been looking out for terrestrial. You know about SETI, right? The organization.
No, are they looking for
an organization called SETI? SETI.
Yeah.
And they're basically an American scientist. They're advanced using NASA technology, trying to locate alien life. Again, there is no such thing. My belief is, going back to the Persian Burhani, he's the one that was a mathematician, philosopher, astrology. He did all of it basically, and he figured that everything revolves around, like, we're the stage. This is the stage. Where we are is where the stage is being played out. Okay. And if God wanted aliens or jinns, whatever, why didn't he send them to Mars? Do you see what I mean?
Mac, tell me you're not a flat earther.
Basically, I know for a fact that we haven't left Earth, so that kind of, I don't say flat Earth, but more of a dome or an egg shape and stretch out. And the reason why I say that is because we haven't been out. I told you about Richard Branson. And
no, Mac,
no.
Oh,
Let me just say one more thing. I'll just admit it. The Van Allen radiation. Look into it. the Van Allen radiation is a radiation that's like a belt surrounding the Earth. We can't get through that. That radiation is so high that microchips will melt if it went through. So how is it possible?
Do you believe in the ice wall?
The what?
The ice wall around Antarctica.
It is possible, but if you look into why is there there's a treaty, and even though countries that don't get along, everyone finds this.
Mac turned out to be a flat earther. Mac.
No, but I mean, I'm not. I just see. You know what it is? You've been programmed in such a way where if someone approaches you with an argument, you're not willing to engage in it because you've been so programmed so well into like believing and relying on NASA equipment. And you see what I mean? It's ultimately programming. That's what it comes down to. And people are left to not.
The thing is, Mac, if the Earth was a sphere, that would be kind of difficult to prove because of the nature of it being a sphere. If the Earth were flat and we were living under a dome, that would be much more provable, and it hasn't been proven.
It is. I mean, in the Bible,
it's not.
The firmament.
No. Oh, Mac. But Mac, look, you have your opinion, I have mine, and I have a lot of yeah, I know. And look, nothing personal or whatever. But I just think that flat Earth is such a muddying the water conspiracy theory. No, there would have to be so many people in on it, and there is nothing to gain from it.
It's just about the American and the Russian war. They were whoever reached and it was just the front. I mean, Stanley Kirby behind the whole production. There's a video out there on YouTube. You can look into it where he admits into actually.
If you think that the Earth is flat and we live under a dome, put a couple of £1,000 together, get 10 other people that believe in the same thing as you, and just fly a drone in a straight line along the equator. And if it comes back, well, you know you were wrong.
Wait, buy a drone and then...
just fly it in a straight line. And if you come all the way around,
the Mercadian map is wrong. You know about the Mercadian map and the sizes of Africa and all the other countries they've all manipulated.
Yeah,
you know about that.
So
right?
all the evidence for Earth being round has been faked, but any evidence for the Earth being flat is real and genuine.
Basically, Newton, right now, they can't prove gravity or gravitons or whatever you want to call them. And Newton's laws, and I mean, it just takes a matter of a whole new understanding of the idea. I mean, even Einstein disagrees with Newton in a way, in some ways about gravity, because he says gravity is actually the curvature of space-time, and whereas Newton says it's a force. But again, Newton, all of his equations work. They work for.
It seems to me that when you look up in the sky and you see the moon and the sun and all the other round bodies in the solar system and the galaxy, because the only place we've found life is here, you are drawn to the idea that this is then the center of the universe and everything else is going around.
I appreciate they say Goldilocks, we're in the Goldilocks where it's perfect setting, but again, it's either you're Darwinian or you're not. You see what I mean? Either you're going to believe you're from Adam and Eve, which comes from starts with the Creator. But if you're going to be scientific, then you're going to be like, no, we're Homo sapiens with Darwinian theory.
And if we lived on a flat Earth under a dome, do you not think that would be very tangible and provable?
Not really, because we've only been able to get into the lower orbits of.
Well, get your money out, get your wallet out, get some other fellow flat earthers together, and let's prove it.
Confident. Why don't you invest in the Tesla company, Elon Musk, and see if you get anywhere with that?
Because I'm with the consensus is with me. Flat Earth will never be the consensus ever again. It used to be, but we've moved on with it.
Listen, it's Flat Earth. I'm not saying it might be. In the Quran, I mean, at the end of the day, it says it's egg-shaped.
Okay.
And when you turn an egg into so it's kind of the sides stretch out. So ideally, that's what they do. They say, I think oblique, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson calls it, oblique or oblique. So again, you know what I mean? Like, every they're trying to use fancy, slick words to try and bring you back to the truth. But in reality, we've been given the globe, the round Earth globe, before we hey Google. The first air balloon.
Different cultures have stumbled across the globe model by themselves, independently of themselves, because it is the conclusion when you realise that the Earth is orbiting the sun, that the seasons change, and there are 4 seasons, and it takes 365 days roughly, and a day.
Okay, first of all, do you know the theory of 9? Like Nicholas Tesla always talks about frequency, but do you know about 9? Like 360 degrees. When you because basically the calendars. If you go to 1752 in September, you'll see the 11 days missing in the Georgian calendar.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like there's so many.
I mean, we have to have a leap year, and we still put the clocks forward and we put the clocks back. It's not perfect, but it is. Okay. I mean, why would it be perfect? But it is roughly, and we've made the approximations.
Do you know why time was created in the first place? Do you actually know the reason for why time was?
Why time was created?
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me.
Well, the official.
The herb.
Let's say the Great Greenwich time.
Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Why that started? Do you know why?
Tell me.
Because when the first trains were made, when people obviously if everyone had different times, they would have missed their train time. So that's why I think when the train started, they developed this Greenwich time. So basically, everyone can synchronize their watch, so no one could be late. It was due to trains, basically, the timing of trains. So that is no. But back in the day, obviously, there was the Mayans, the Aztecs. They worshipped nothing but time. They didn't even care about gold or nothing like that. All they worshipped was the. But this is what I'm saying. When you look at, the Mayan calendar. They say it was accurate in terms of eclipses that occurred. It was off by 10 seconds. It was more accurate than the Georgian calendar, apparently.
Yeah, and did they believe in a flat Earth?
To some extent, yeah. If you look into it, that is what is funny. That is something that I've clocked onto as well. They base their calculations on everything orbiting Earth, not the Earth orbiting the Sun.
Oh, Mac, the Earth is not flat. It's just so huge it looks flat to us, and you would conclude it was flat. That has to be the default position because that's how it looks until we learn more later on, and we've concluded, and it is consensus.
It's spinning one way.
You do,
and that's what's causing it to make egg shape. But at the same time, because it makes sense for something to create gravity, it needs to spin.
You sure you're not just looking for something that you found out that other people haven't, and it's something quite enjoyable to think that you're ahead of the pack in that sense? Because I think we all, that does appeal to us, and I am a conspiracy nut, as you know, but I have to check myself now and then, and sometimes we're just looking for what we want to be the case.
I'm not saying.
No, you clearly are open-minded.
I'm not saying flat Earth, but I'm just looking at the facts, and I'm saying, wait a minute. Before we went to actually had the right before the 1905 whenever the Wright brothers made plane, we had globes in our classroom. Why? So that for me it shows that we've been programmed from centuries ago. And that's before even air balloons. Before we even went there. So these are all. Again, it goes back to the Darwinian. If you want to think you're academic and and you have to believe, well, okay, the Darwinian says kill the weak and serve the strong. So that's what it's about.
Well, I don't think that's what
Darwinian theory is really about. It's basically if the weak are competent enough to look after themselves, then obviously there's no need for them. And then
but wouldn't Darwinism also say that the tribe that works together as a team and looks after each other will also survive?
Yeah, but that's looking after the ones that are worthy to look after. That's not the weak and that's the whole point. Whereas this is where religion says the opposite. It says no, everyone's equal. Everyone's meant to be treated. Treat your neighbor like you want to be treated. I mean, like the Ten Commandments. It's all basic. But that's the Darwinian is the opposite. The Darwinian is you're out there for yourself, make as much money. Like so, you're always in a like you're always competing with people trying to up or better yourself from someone else, and that's what the Darwinian mentality is. I mean, that's what, if you look at nature, like, that's what it comes down to. Obviously, feeding the family and looking after. But other than that, if religion is basically, in my eyes, is something. If someone in the wrong path, if they steal, if they kill, or if they do something, they're not living right. Religion would put them on the right track. But someone who's honest and who doesn't do any of those things, religion is not really so beneficial, whereas what's important at that point is the perception of understanding whether or not there is a God. Because religion, ideally, it kind of puts people that's gone astray on the right path again, that hopefully picks up their lives and routine. But in reality, like I said to you, it's ultimately understanding. Even Albert Einstein says, whoever's serious about science will come to the understanding that there is a higher intelligence at work behind the whole universe. This is I mean, I'm not quoting word for word, but it's something along those lines. Which, again, it's Einstein, the best in the 19th century, best mind in the world, saying that if you're serious about science and if you really look into it, you'll see that it's governed by an intelligence way beyond our capability or comprehension.
That's right, and I think science and religion and spirituality can go hand in hand. I don't think accepting evolution as a theory negates necessarily God. That God might, well, in his wisdom, have created the process in order to create an ever increasing and ever improving civilization.
Yeah. By the way, do you know the history behind Halloween?
Well, we were trying to break it down tonight. It's a pagan festival native to the British Isles originally, Samhain. What's your take on it?
No, that's basically it. I mean, you do know in the Quran it says that witchcraft and wizardry was introduced by two angels, Harut and Marut. Okay. And apparently they came to Babylon, and from Babylon it went to Egypt, then it went to Solomon. Now Solomon, after that, when the Knights Templar found it, they became Freemasons and they're practicing it. So ultimately, witchcraft, if you look at the British, I mean, even like when they say, the first book was a actual, the first recorded book found was a witchcraft book, and it was all about casting spells. That's why you do spellings, and that's where the original. I mean, it started with symbology, then symbology became to. I mean, this is how witchcraft advanced. I mean, even looking at the word spirit. I mean, the etymology of the word spirit, I mean, has two meanings. One's obviously soul, but also alcohol. Why?
Yes,
if you look back and if you look back to when they do witchcraft in the old, this is why King Philip and all the other French kings used to kill all these witches on, like, if you remember, he would kill. And what it is, it's all, if you look at the history, they did a lot of witchcraft, especially in this country as well. So it's quite rich. So the word spirit, they had to drink alcohol in order for them to channel themselves into that spirit world. That's why when you drink, you channeled yourself to allow a spirit or the demon or interdimensional being to enter you. And that's why you don't remember when you act up in the evening and you act funny and you act different, out of character. And the whole next day, you don't even have any recollection of what you did. Why?
It wasn't you.
Because it wasn't you.
Wow.
It was you. You channeled yourself. This goes back to witchcraft. But I'm telling you, I've looked at the history of etymology, like the word spirit. I wanted to know why it had double connotations. I mean, like, why does it mean soul and it also means alcohol? It just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I went and looked at, and even, do you remember I told you about paradise?
Yes, Paradis, Persian word.
Hey Google, where was the word paradise derived from?
He likes Google, does old
On
Mac.
the website merriam-webster.com, they say, paradise ultimately comes from an Iranian word
There
that the
it
Greeks
is.
modified into paradiso, meaning enclosed park.
See that?
From the horse's mouth. But, Mac, while I got you...
You can take everything I tell you literal.
You can trace it back.
My thorough regional.
Good point about the alcohol.
Yeah.
On the alcohol issue, alcohol being an Arabic word, I think means the consumption, as in yakul, as in to eat. So it consumes you when you take it.
They have two words, arak and alcohol. Yeah, but I mean, in the olden days, they used to, instead of sedate people, they used to operate. They had to give them alcohol. Like
That's right.
In the olden days, that's how they didn't have no anesthetic or.
That's right. Matt, while I've got you here, what's the deal with Nowruz and dressing up as a black man? Do people black themselves up as Baba Nowruz? Is he called?
It's basically Haji Firuz.
Haji Firuz, okay.
Haji Firuz, yeah. And what it is, it's basically Baba Noel, which means Father Christmas.
Is it racist?
Not really. Well, basically, you got to understand, Cyrus the Great. If he was the one that in the plaque, he's the one. If you look at the first human rights recorded in history, it was the Persian. Like so, even in Iran, when you go, if you're dark skinned, they think you're more exotic. There isn't that. Iranians are more classist than racist.
Okay.
See what I mean? In my opinion, anyway. I feel like they feel like they call sad to them when someone's like a bit darker skinned. They find that exotic.
Okay.
See what I mean? So there is no racism, but there's a classism that you can say.
Is there a glamorization of fair skin as there are in some Eastern countries?
Sorry, repeat that.
Is fair skin glamorized in Iran?
Well, yeah. I mean, blue eyes. It depends on the individual, but Iranians. I mean, it can vary both ways. Oh, look at that blonde, blue eyes, and oh, look at that dark, tan, exotic. You see what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
so it depends.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, thank you very much again for your input. It's great when you get involved in these shows. I do appreciate it. If there's any other topics you want to address...
I mean, share knowledge and gain knowledge from you. So I mean, how it works, give and take. Quid pro quo.
Yeah, much respect. Thank you very much, my brother. You have a good evening and happy rest of the Halloween. Thank you. Good night. That's he's a great contributor to the show. It is Mac, and I shouldn't be dismissive the minute you hear someone might be a flat earther or whatever it is. He's not even a flat earther. He's just questioning what we've been indoctrinated with, and we should question everything. And we've got some comments that came through. Someone mentioned Medjugorje while we were on the phone, and I did want to talk about that. Medjugorje is another site where people believe that the Virgin Mary has appeared, but this particular apparition has gained much less following within the Catholic Church, and some people are very skeptical of it. I'm not sure exactly why. I can't find it in the comments. Who was it who asked about Medjugorje? But yes, it's somewhere in the Balkans, I think. And 33X saying, I was with this guy with the flat earth business almost, but casting spells is just too much. Well, look, if you go deep into the etymology of many words, like we said, spirit, alcohol, spelling, there will be a deep meaning behind it. My favourite one from Leo Muhammad of the Nation of Islam is that the devil is devaluing you, and devil means devalue. I doubt that is the etymology, but it kind of works. And devil comes from Diablo, and Diablo is almost certainly where we get Iblis from, Iblis being the name of the devil mentioned in the Quran. But then you've also got Shaitan, Shaitan meaning Saturn, Shaitan meaning Satan, rather, but Saturn might be something to do with that. Jen Wallace is saying, what about the statues that cry? Have you ever seen that? Lots in South America. Do you think they're fake? Probably. I mean, why would a statue cry? What would it mean? It's something that could be faked, right? That could be faked. If it could be faked, isn't that the most logical explanation, other than, well, an inanimate object has tears coming out of the eyes because what? Because that shows us that God is real? Yeah, the statues of Mary, and sometimes they even cry blood. What would that prove? Why would that even happen if that were real? And if you're a fan of British comedy, there's a great episode of Only Fools and Horses when Del Boy discovers this statue that is crying, and he can predict when it's going to happen. But funnily enough, he only predicts that the statue will cry on the days that it's about to rain. And of course, the church had a leaky roof that he was meant to fix. Yes, that's right. Del Boy, you plonker Rodney. He faked the whole thing. And 33X is mentioning that Satan and the devil are the same thing. Well, are they? And Jen Wallace is saying, what about stigmata and all that? Yeah, Padre Pio, apparently the great, he's a saint now, had stigmata. Stigmata is the wounds of the cross, the wounds of crucifixion. So it tends to be very, very devout Catholics will sometimes get wounds on their hand where the nails would have gone through, wounds from the crown of thorns where Jesus had a crown of thorns placed on his head. Could it be real? Could it be people doing it to themselves? Do they subconsciously want it to happen and then it does? Is this a physical manifestation of belief? Maybe they do it in their sleep. That could be one explanation. And Triple T is saying that birthmarks, but they're not birthmarks. These are things that appear on people. And one of the miracles that was attributed to Padre Pio was that he could appear in two places at once. Why that would be any use to anyone, I don't know. Very strange. But yes, there will often be a logical explanation, just like with Del Boy's crying statue in the church. The explanation might not be what we want it to be. You see a statue with tears streaming down its cheeks and you want it to be a miracle. But really, it's the leaking roof in the church. And Jenna Wallace is saying, I think people do it while they're delusional. Yeah, maybe. You never know how delusional a person might be. And it doesn't mean that they're lying. It doesn't mean that they are trying to deceive us, but it might be the case that they are deluded themselves. I don't know. Last chance before we wrap it up. If anyone wants to get in touch, 33X, if you want to give me a call, you're welcome. You've usually got a different take on things. If not, we'll wrap it up. I hope we've addressed the real truth behind Halloween. If anyone has a different topic they would like to get in touch with me about, email me please. 33X is saying Muslims with green turbans have a dark mark due to praying all night on their forehead. Yeah, well, that's understandable. If you pray all night with your head to the ground, you may well get a mark on your head. It's not a paranormal claim like the. Oh look, I'm getting stigmata. I must be getting religious. Jen Wallace is saying, yeah, fear mongering by the Vatican. Yeah, look, so much religion is based on fear and gloom and doom and the threat of hell. Why can't we all just be good people? Be good to each other. Well, we have survived Halloween. We are now into All Hallows Day. Have a very, very blessed All Saints Day. Remember to be good. Remember to forbid evil. And we'll do this all again soon. Thank you very much for everyone who contributed, who got involved, who chipped in. It means a lot. We were here and we're gone. Laters.